Welcome on in together around gang. Creative Assembly has just released a hotfix blog for Total War Warhammer 3, so let's dive on in and take a look. This one is actually going to be in a opt-in beta form at current, and will be released live for all on September 23rd. So I will have in the description the link that lets you know how to go ahead and opt into that beta on Steam. So let's dive right on in. They also have an update right off the bat here, so we have updated the hotfix notes below to highlight changes and fixes that have identified as not active within this build of the beta opt-in. We're working with our teams to identify if we can provide a further up to this beta ahead of the weekend, and we'll return later with information. Thank you, C.A. Freeman. 9 items not known to be in this build as previously advertised have been marked with strikeout text. It will appear looking like this below, so anything that's stricken out is not going to actually be in the build, so we'll just skip right over it. Hey there, folks. Next Tuesday, September 23rd, we will be publishing Hotfix 6.3.1, our final planned game update prior to the release of Total War Warhammer 3 Tides of Torment, and the release of Game Update 7.0. So this is the final hotfix and final just patch in general before 7.0. That's good to know. We focus this hotfix on bringing further improvements to many of the changes brought with patch 6.3, and offering some refined balance changes for both Lizardmen and Tomb Kings. This hotfix also helps to address an unintended AI behavior that was causing AI-controlled factions to poorly budget their resources, and result in instances of low-stack armies on your campaign maps. Hey, hang on now, I haven't been seeing this. Does this mean in Legendary they're supposed to have even more stacks than they already have? Oh, good grief. There's a host of additional changes, fixes, and improvements detailed below. But if you'd like to check out the changes for yourself, players on Steam can switch their client to the beta branch and play these changes right now. You can find these instructions on how to do so at the bottom of this post, onto the changes. So yeah, if you're not on Steam, you don't have a way to opt into this beta. So that is unfortunate, but it's still good for all those on Steam that they can jump in and take a look at these changes early and provide a CA with some feedback before the patch goes live itself. So onward to these highlights. 2 new front-end toggles for unusual locations, as well as balance changes and bug fixes. We've got Lizardmen factions that have mechanics to spawn in blessed units now gain double the spawning sequence for performing actions compared to the 6.3 release. That's incredible. Double is insane. So we were getting some in the late game that were giving us up to 350 spawning sequence, which I think was, honestly, I'm not going to say it's fine because they've already doubled it, but now we're going to be getting up to like 700 and plus, which is crazy good. So you'll actually be able to get more blessed units than before, which is good. In the early game, you're down to like 1 or 2 only, so let's move along. All Lizardmen factions now have a method of increasing the capacity of blessed spawning units. It's just by 1. I will let you all know early. This is only by a single extra, which is actually fine. I've noticed that the cooldown there is really not that big a deal. Tomb King factions can now begin researching technologies from turn 1. This is amazing, even on legendary difficulty. This one's stricken out. Improves some AI calculations on recruitment, though there is more to come in future to fully resolve this. I guess we could read these just to like show what they're still working on, but what didn't make it. So I'll just with the caveat that if we read through the stricken out ones, they're not in this update. So for the future, vampiric corruption values from technologies have been reduced with additional effects added. They actually did do this. I remember this one because it was 10 vampiric corruption to start, and it's been dropped down to 5. So that one, I thought they snuck this in. It makes it way easier to manage your vampiric corruption negatives from those Tomb King technologies. When it's 9 additional 10, you get 20 additional when you get both. It's really hard to control, but it's a fun little balance. Improve some AI calculations also on recruitment, though there is more to come in the future to fully resolve this. So these are going to be the main highlights that are coming in this patch. Let's get going. So on to the details for the unusual locations. We want to acknowledge the feedback we've seen from players that would like the unusual locations to spawn for the AI factions as well. Oh, I didn't realize they didn't. Fair enough. That would be great, but I can also see there are a number of design reasons we haven't done this yet, and quite a bit of work would be required to make it happen. Yeah, that's a lot of calculations going on in the background. That said, we are exploring adding it as a toggleable option in the future, and we'll share more information when we have it. It would be really cool to see that, because you would get all sorts of crazy stuff happening on your campaigns then. Added front-end customization options to disable the purple hand and unstable chaos portal. Those can be spooky. Oh, but like for example, imagine the faulty Doomsphere Skaven thing, for example, which will just detonate if you get too much Skaven corruption and blow up the settlement. Imagine you're just playing and having a good old time when randomly Middenheim just detonates, or perhaps like Kislev. It'd be just crazy stuff, and I think it would be lots of fun. Alright, so slightly increase the earliest turn at which some of the more impactful unusual locations can spawn, like the faulty Doomsphere and the unstable Chaos Portal, unless you've turned it off. They've removed the arcane synergy from the purple hands effects and increased the rate at which their safe houses spread, so they're a little bit more punishing. Converted the purple hand spreading event into a dilemma, so the player doesn't miss it. Fixed an issue where the purple hand's final event wouldn't trigger, leaving the player in the dark as to why they left. What this event does still did happen in campaigns, so they spread to 9 locations, the player just wasn't notified. Oh, so now there's at least an actual event trigger so you can see what's going on. That's good. Lower the number of hydras in the underworld sea entrance to 3 instead of 7. It was 7 as a reference to the Dark Elf Doom Gate, but yes, we've heard your feedback that 7 is too many hydras even for huge hydra fans. That's a lot of heads. 7 hydras. As a quick cut-in, I've never got this unusual location, but if this is 3 or 7 hydras that were being used to defend your settlement, that is absolutely ridiculous. No one's getting in here. That's awesome. Alright, moving on to campaign changes. So Lizardmen, we've seen that there was a need for factions to have more spawning sequence, and at the same time have better capacity, so we've acted on that as below. Tic-Tac-Toe now gains an increased pool cap for Blessed Ripperdactyl and Blessed Pterodon Rider units, that's incredible. Plus 2, so he has 4 total, which I think you could increase 1 further, which they're going to say here in a moment. Tablet of Spawning now has a proper increase to spawning sequence gained from commandments. The cap for the Blessed Spawning Pool can be increased by this technology too, so there's that 1 additional. So that means you can get up to 5 pool for all the flying Blessed units for like the likes of Tic-Tac-Toe, which is pretty good. Much better than just having 2 that you have to wait. You can recruit both of them in a hurry, and then you're just stuck waiting for both of them to refill, so I can see that being a pain to those who used to be able to just kind of build up a full army of Blessed units in a hurry, so this is a good change. Alright, so Oxyotto's missions are now going to also grant spawning sequence based on their difficulty. The easy missions will be like the example shown below. He also is going to gain spawning sequence from Unearthed Sanctum and Grand Sanctum buildings. We've also gone ahead and doubled the amount of spawning sequence you get from performing rites as Nakai and Tehinoan, and they are going to have increased gain from performing the Rite of Awakening. We believe this further improves the system. Give it a go. Okay, so Nakai and Tehinoan get more from certain rites, and then in general, the Rite of Awakening gives you more sequence. That's good. I wish I told you exactly how much more, but we'll find out in-game. Nightmare's on the march, so for 5 turns, you'll gain 5, so it's 25 total spawning sequence. That's not bad, I guess. Maybe if you have other ways to increase how much you're gaining, this can go from 5 to like 7 or 8 a turn, which can be pretty cool. We'll have to see how much the medium and hard missions grant. I would imagine it's something like 5, 8, and 10. They don't tend to go up a ton to the maximum tier, but we'll see. While Blessed units are not made to replace base Lizardmen roster you have at your disposal, they're definitely made to empower and support you, and we believe these changes go a long way with aiding that. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Not really supposed to have an entire army of Blessed units just running around, but you're meant to have them interdispersed with all of your other roster. That's the intended Blessed, I guess, playstyle. However, I understand people having it's a bit jarring with you could build up just an army of, just a full squad of them in a hurry if you need to, based on the missions you've completed and how many of you stacked up. I think before, you could stack it up to 20, so you could get a full stack of any of one of the Blessed units in an immediate. So we've improved the Blessed spawning system further by allowing you to increase the maximum capacity by 1 via the tech tree. The global cooldown of Rite of Awakening has been reduced from 10 turns to 5, bringing it in line with the other rite, which is good, so that you'll get much more spawning sequence and many, many more Toad Priests. Tehinoan and Mazdamundi all now also have Wall Breaker when mounted on Stegodons to keep with the big dinosaurs can hit walls theme. This is amazing. Although, see, we do still need to go back through and rework all the large units that are about the same size as Stegodons to make it so they can knock over walls. That's just something we need to do. Banner adjustments. The totem pole of Destiny Banner's ward save has been reduced from 26 to 15. Well, that's sad. Boo, nerfs. Alright, moving on to Tomb Kings. Dedication to Asaf now correctly applies, though its value has been slightly reduced. Okay. The increase of Canopic Jars from the skill Canopic Jar Hoarder has been reduced, so they skill more in line with expectations, so this is not a thing they've done right now. Occupying Settlements now grants Canopic Jars, since the previous occupants didn't know what to do with them. They're better in your hands. That's so very true. What are you going to do with those organs anyway? The Rite of Tahath, Casket of Souls ritual, now costs 2,500 gold instead of 5,000. I thought the 5,000 was fine. Everyone's screaming at me, no, wizard, no! I thought 5,000 was fine. These things are insane. So now you can pretty much guarantee one of these for all of your campaigns and continue to build up your settlements, where before you kind of had to make a decision. Do you want a Casket of Souls, or do you want a Tier 3 settlement faster? The percentage of increasing cost or increasing army capacity has been raised from 50% to 75%. Oh no. We believe this change will improve the gameplay despite being increasing cost. We'll see about that, won't we? Wisdom of the 4th Dynasty and Wisdom of the 6th Dynasty technologies now provide additional effects. Apparently they don't yet. And then the Tomb King Lord skill Unwavering Resolve now provides unyielding assault instead of immune to psychology. Amazing. Unyielding assault is insanely good. For any who don't know, it basically makes it so you can't lose melee attack. Your melee attack, whatever the highest it hits during a battle, is what it stays at. So it's insane. No matter how tired you get, no matter what kind of debuffs they try to cast on your guy, it will not work. On to the further trait changes. Actually, all of these have been removed. So we'll just go ahead and hover over these for a second. You can go ahead and take a quick screenshot if you'd like to read those that have not been changed yet, but I guess this is going to come maybe in update 7.0. We'll find out. These are all the removed changes. Big Daddy now also comes with 25% mass. You better believe it. Now let's move right on along to the AI changes. We've resolved an issue that has been around for a while but has become more widespread recently. It involves units with 0 treasury cost, unit caps, or limited recruitment. While the campaign AI was doing high-level plans around how many units it can recruit and how much budget to allocate for said recruitment, the allocation of resources failed. Failure was as a result of the AI trying to avoid spending any resources without properly considering how many free units are available, be it due to unit caps or limited resources. So that means anyone with high unit caps or free units is going to have stronger armies now, is what I'm reading from this. May not be the case, but your Tomb King's armies might start to get a little bit more threatening. Battle with 6.3 Sandvale also adds turn speed. I thought that was already added, yeah. Adds turn speeds you can apply to large construct units to hide, evade, and turn, and pounce. It works for all of your units in general, so if you want to give that to like a chariot, they can roll in extremely quickly and then turn on a dime, launch those arrows and get out of there without really taking any damage, which is incredible. Moving on, though, to these bug fixes. Alright, so they've got general gameplay fixes. We fixed some arrow mix-ups in the Tomb Kings, causing skeleton archers and horse archers to have the wrong reload times and damage for their standard projectiles. Huh. So wait, well, I wonder if the archers were doing horse archer level damage and vice versa. That would be insane. Standardized the benefits for Khalidah's improved archers, so now we actually know what it is. So it's 1 additional penetration for your archers, which is by itself insane. 33% armor piercing. And then one minimum, huh? Is it that you... I'm not sure what this part means. So 1 additional penetration, 33% armor piercing, and then magical attacks, which, that's perfect. Good stuff. Allows you to cut down demons, allows you to cut down the vampires in the area, no problem. The ability Eye of the Dragon now correctly updates when used. Fixed a missing string issue when engaging in diplomacy with the Bretonnians. Well, it's because the Bretonnians are goofy. Improved in AI prioritization. Good grief, yes. Prioritization around the unit recruitment and budget allocation to reduce instances of single unit army stacks. So, gone might be the days of nothing but frostworms coming at you from Kislev. That might make them perform worse on campaign, we'll see. Fixed a bug in which unusual locations turn themselves back on in multiplayer campaigns, even if turned off at the campaign's creation. So no longer will the poltergeist get in there and mess with your lovely campaign that you've turned these off. They've also resolved a performance issue with the Total War launcher. Please note Warhammer 3 will need to launch at least once for performance updates to apply and for speeds to improve. Oh, hopefully this is the fix to all the mods, because that has been a nightmare. Things just been slowing down. Yes, you can delete the launcher, which is what they've been saying. Just delete the launcher's line, and it basically reloads and should speed things up, and it speeds it up for a time, but then it always goes back. So this hopefully fixes that permanently. Next up, we got skills and traits. The trait Virtue of Confidence now correctly restores movement points back after winning a battle, and has been removed from paladins, as it would no longer be compatible. If you have this trait on your paladins, it will no longer work. So you just won't have the Virtue of Confidence at all anymore, you just won't restore movement. It'll say it, but it won't work, which is fair enough, I guess. The Grand Hierophant Kotep's skill, Soul Binding, now correctly applies unyielding assault to units. That sounds amazing. Updated the icon of Audible Smell to the immune to context effects icon. Okay. The 4th generation Salon trait now no longer... Oh no, the 4th generation now no longer gives ward save to the whole army all the time. Oh. I thought that's already what it did. The 4th generation Salon trait no longer gives ward save to the army all the time and only applies when fighting factions that spread corruption. Yeah, I thought that's what it already did. So, okay, so I thought we'd lost our ward save completely. No, he's still insane, but only when fighting corruptive influences, which, that works. You send your 4th generation in to Doom Guy all of the forces of chaos in the area, and he just kind of stands there by himself, or I guess hovers there in his floaty chair and bonks people with his mace. He is a demon. Love the change to the 4th generation Salon. Alright, moving on. King Wukof's trait now shows correctly in Technologies panel and on campaign map. Maybe a little bit more explanation here, CA, but I guess Wukov has always shown the wrong trait. Necrotech skills are now locked and unlocked correctly. The Lorekeeper trait is now going to apply the barrier to the character only. I wonder if it was to everyone in the entire army. It'd be silly. Mortuary Cult Scholar now no longer unlocks Lich Priests in all provinces, as they were recruited in all provinces anyway. Coiling Alacrity no longer gives Vanguard to Sepulchral Stalkers, as they already had it. They removed that in 6.3.2. Grimgore's skill Hatred is no longer hidden and can be unlocked again. Our Honorable Elder it now correctly applies Control faction-wide again. So maybe it said it did and didn't work? Good to see. UX and UI has a redacted fix here. So the skill icon for, oh no, that's the one they said earlier. So the skill icon for Orbital Smell is now immune to contact effects icon. They didn't do that. Next, we've got environment util models. The horns on the Bastillodon are now no longer untextured. Good, the Bastillodons have their spikies again. And lastly, we'll get to how to access the Steam beta branch for this hotfix. So 1, you'll be opening your Steam client and going to your library. 2, you'll be right-clicking on the Total War Warhammer 3 and selecting Properties. 3, you're going to be navigating to the Beta section there. And then 4, in the drop-down menu, you're going to select Hotfix 6.3.1 Beta. And then Steam will download the necessary files and begin patching process to install the beta. The download and patching process doesn't usually take very long, and once it's installed, you can jump right on in. And this will only be up until it goes live, and as soon as that happens, they'll basically remove the beta from the beta's list. So that's your way to access, jump on in and give 6.3.1 a little bit of a go, and then give CA any feedback that you might think is important. But that's going to be all for this hotfix blog. I myself have been quite impressed with the speed that these hotfixes have been going up, and the absolute lack of nerfs in them. It seems like they have learned, unlike, let's take Bungie for example, who just is completely tone deaf and cannot get anything right no matter what. Their player base will say, hey, we want this, and Bungie goes, no, I don't think that we can do that. That's too difficult. Whereas CA works with their player base now, and they've had their trip ups. They're now working with the player base to try to actually build the Warhammer 3 that everyone wants to play and it can be fun for everyone, which is only good for the future. Thank you all for stopping on by today's video. If you enjoyed, please remember to leave a like for the like god and a sub for the sub though, and I'll see you all in the next one.